right, have you ever heard of the term Chibario? It's an Okinawan term. If I'm getting it wrong, I'm sorry, but that's how I pronounce it, Chibario. So this is a term that sort of like means uh, do your best, never give up. And it's something that is used as the actual word to say back and forth. And I want to explore that concept today and see what Chibario might mean and how you might be able to use it in one form or another. So let's get into it.
Welcome to the Warrior Mindset Podcast. We're your guide as you make your way through life, getting better 1% every day. We believe that life is lived and true victory won through adversity. Nothing easy is ever worth it. We believe in the warrior ethos.
All right, let's dig into this concept of Chibario. Okay. Uh, it's an Okinawan word, Chibario. It's an encouraging expression. It means hang in there or do your best. It's a term that's all about motivation and perseverance. So whether you're tackling a tough project at work, maybe you're training for a marathon, or you've got some personal challenges, or just some things that you want to overcome, then maybe there's something here for you. Um, I want to get into it in some detail. So there is uh, rich martial arts history from Okinawa in the sense of karate. It's what I train predominantly, and I study Okinawan culture a lot, and particularly as it pertains to martial arts and stuff. So they have this term Chibario. It goes beyond just martial arts, but they have this term Chibario, and unlike the more traditional Japanese terms, Ganabe, uh, which means like give it give it your best effort, or um, endurance, or have endurance. Chibario resonates more with perseverance and resilience. It means, you know, uh, hanging in there, giving your best effort as long as you can and see it through. It's a slight difference, but in the dojo where I trained for over a decade and earned my black belt at, we had a saying, or my sensei had a saying, never give up. It's on everything. He has t-shirts and all kinds of stuff. My sensei has used this for many, many years to teach so many of us some very important life altering lessons about what it means to win in the face of adversity, what it means to overcome something that's really tough. Chibario encourages effort, yes, but it goes deeper. It's a it can be a personal push to keep going, finding that strength deep down in you, not for others' expectations, but for your own journey. The subtle difference reflects historical things in the Ryukyu kingdom, which is the originating um, uh, Okinawa before Japan took it over, and before now what it is now. Um, Okinawa faced periods both autonomy and struggle, um, like military struggle, political struggle. Perhaps the term Chibario emerged from that context, rallying people during hardships and instilling this spirit of overcoming, like nationally, overcoming adversity. In Okinawan karate, there's a term, the indomitable spirit, and that is embodied in Chibario. This resonates with this practice of pushing yourself beyond your limits, beyond not just your limits, but beyond what you think your limits are. Um, in karate, urging students to dig deeper, working on those skills. Someone that I follow, Jason. He is a Jason Kelly. He trains martial arts and shooting and stuff like that for Marines and special forces and all kinds of stuff. He says nobody cares who you are when you're fresh. Who are you when you're tired? And I love that saying that he has, and I think they've taken it and putting it on posters and stuff in some of the training facilities. But Chibario is a reminder that within all of us lies a strength to persevere, to push through our obstacles, and ultimately win, achieve our goals. It embodies this idea of resilience in the face of huge challenges or challenges that we get into, and never losing hope in the process. It's a simple word, but it carries all this historical and profound meaning and power. Um, so let's explore this and how it can be applied in your life, and how it can help you, how it's helped me, not in this specific form, but let's break this down into a couple of areas: encouragement to persevere, boosting your morale, staying focused. Okay. Plus, we'll look at how this shared spirit, this shared indomitable spirit, can help build community and can really help power you through. Okay. So let's dig into this first aspect, encouragement to persevere. So self-encouragement, encouraging others. When we're faced with difficult and daunting goals, right? It's easy to feel overwhelmed. This is where this word, literally, you can use it as this word, or this concept comes in. It's a reminder to stay persistent and to keep pushing despite the obstacles. Now, this can manifest itself in many different ways. It doesn't literally have to be that word, Chibario. You can have your own word or your own phrase, and we'll explore that. I want to take a look at this first little bit here and introduce some of this. So let's play some of this.
There's a video that I 100% legitimately play in my mind when I'm tired. I say good. Listen to this video. Have you ever heard this? It's amazing.
I don't think he would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on. And he'd say, boss, we got this and that and the other thing. And I'd look at him and I'd say, good.
Mhm.
And finally, one day he was telling me about some issue that he was having, some problem. And he said, I already know what you're going to say. I said, well, what am I going to say? He said, you're going to say good.
This is from Joe Rogan podcast, whether you like Joe Rogan or not. It's using it just to introduce this, but it's Jocko's concept of good. It's his form of
That's what you
Chibario.
always say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say good. And I said, well, yeah. When
Music
things are
aside.
going bad, there's going to be some good that's going to come from it.
Yeah. So all right. So I'm gonna add this next one. Okay, so that was Joe Rogan just introducing this concept. I want to look at some of Jocko's video. There's several remixes and things people put together, but this is from his specific podcast where he's answering questions about it.
Is accept reality. That's the first thing you got to do. You got to look at what's happening. You got to assess it, assess the reality of it, and then you say, okay, good. Now, instead of dwelling on the negatives and what's going to go bad and what's wrong, you deal with them, but then you look at, okay, now what are we going to do positive out of this? What good's going to come out of this?
So as a martial artist, like in karate, we do a lot of testing to get to your next belt level or whatever. In jiu-jitsu, it's not quite like that, but they do have, there's a lot of sport in it. There's a lot of matches and things. There are moments when you hit a wall, like physically and mentally. And during those times, I do remind myself of Jocko's good. He says good. It's like having my own internal coach telling me, embrace this challenge, keep pushing, right? This simple word, I've used it, has helped me push through some tough training sessions and things. It's not just for athletes and martial artists. I think you can harness this in everyday life, and it's what Jocko's talking about. But think about a challenging project at work. Deadlines are looming. You're sort of swamped. You're underwater. You can adopt this mindset. Okay, this mantra.
And that's all it is. It's definitely not denying or being delusional about the situation by any stretch, but it is also not being woe is me.
Right.
And this happened and now, oh my gosh, everything's going horrible. I'm doomed. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Obviously, I'm not talking about that. And it's also not like, it's okay, everything's wonderful.
So he's talking about not, you know, I've said this, sort of coach people on this before, and they like to, say, well, it's easy to say, shit's really bad. I think that's kind of the point. You don't want to get bogged down in feeling sorry for yourself or whatever. And this is a good mantra or good way to sort of self-talk and help work yourself out of some of those situations.
No, that's why the term is good and not wonderful, right?
Sure.
I'm not saying everything's wonderful, but good.
Yeah.
Okay, now what are we going to find out of this? What are we going to figure out of this? What are we going to make happen now?
Mhm.
Because I'm going to deal with reality. I'm going to accept reality. I'm going to accept reality.
Yeah.
Then there's some people that, like the self-help gurus that are like, no, I'm just not going to accept that.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
You
I'm
make
gonna
your
be-
own reality.
I'm going to be so positive that I'm going to get that $1 million tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, actually, you're not going to get that $1 million tomorrow. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to work for a long time. You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to stay focused on your goals, and then you'll get your $1 million.
You're good. See how strong you are after that.
Yes. So
That's important. You're not going to think yourself. No one's ever thought themselves out of their problems, right? That you work yourself out of your problems, and you can use this to sort of re-center yourself into the fact that you have to dig in and work, and it can help refocus you on the work and not on the suffering.
So that's it. Deal with reality, accept reality, then find the good in it and move forward.
That's so good. I love Jocko. He really helps center me when I sort of think of his spirit, and good is a good totem to help me sort of center on that spirit, I think. All right. So what happens when, you've recentered yourself, you've got to dig in, but how do you get yourself feeling good about what you have to do? So let's talk about how this concept can help boost your morale, your outlook. All right. Words of encouragement can lift your spirits. I've done an episode before on positive self-talk, and that's an important piece of the puzzle. So when we hear this term, or when we sort of manifest this term, it can help instill the sense of belief in our abilities to succeed. So Coach Divine, he has this mantra, and we'll see if he gets into it, where he'll tell himself, feeling good, looking good, ought to be in Hollywood. And he taught me that it's 2014 or so. And he was telling us how he was using that to get through some long training where it was like a 8-mile run or something, but they didn't know exactly how far it was. They were just, every mile they were just told they were going another mile. Or some Navy SEAL testing and stuff going on there. But it's what he's using. It's a redirection mantra, right? To get his mind focused on the positive aspects of what he's getting out of the training, right? Or working, it's helping him work through it positively. He also adds another one, which is "you got this," as an add-in to that. So let's listen to some of his coaching here.
The theme for today, I'll call first words. One of the traditions that warriors have is to curate the quality of the first thoughts and words that come out of their mouth every day.
So he's talking about his practice of first words, which is, the moment your feet hit the ground, you're filling yourself with positive vibes.
And that sets the stage for positivity for the rest of the day. So when I wake up in the morning, even before I open my eyes, I will have usually a lingering sense of a dream, or maybe some energy from sleep, maybe some sluggishness, and I'll begin to curate the quality of my initial thinking, as opposed to just let whatever come up, or reach for my phone, or all the other ways that I could lose control.
Which is awesome. He's talking about staying in control of his mind and not just letting the dopamine addiction overtake him and put him in a negative place or whatever.
And instead of winning in my mind, I could defeat myself without taking charge of the first words that enter your mind. Now, I'm right now speaking of words that you speak to yourself, but this translates also to words that you speak to others. But all words that you speak to others are first formulated in your mind, right? Even if they're subconscious reactionary programming. That's why we need to take control of that and get clear. So this is a practice of positivity. What are your first words that come out of your mental mouth in the morning?
Have you thought about that? What are the first thoughts you have? I know it's sort of meta to sort of think about the first thoughts, but it's important that the moment you get up, you have taken stock of journaling or whatever tool you want to use to help you sort of extract that. But just, what are the first things your mind goes to, and what are the first, what's some of the first words you tell yourself once your feet hit the floor?
Mine, I've shared this before, are I like myself. And I'll say that a number of times. And then I repeat a few mantras. One, my classic from Navy SEAL training.
Here we go.
I'm feeling good. I'm looking good. I ought to be in Hollywood. Feeling good. Looking good. I ought to be in Hollywood. And day by day, in every way, I'm getting stronger and better. Hoo-yah-hey.
Forgot about that part.
So your tip for the day is to develop a first word mantra and to practice it every morning when you wake up, before you even open your eyes, silently to yourself, until it becomes second nature.
Wow.
That's really cool and powerful.
It is indeed. Hoo-yah-hey. That's some good stuff. It's embodied, I think, in this concept of Chibario is what he's talking about doing. And man, I miss his daily briefs. It was good stuff. So let's not just take Coach Divine's words for it. This is Simon Sinek talking about positive reinforcement, whether you do it to others or yourself. It's the same concept.
Has ever been in a leadership position is guilty of forming a narrative about someone as an underperformer. Oh, they screw up everything. And then what ends up happening is all we do is think about them and treat them as an underperformer. And all we do is notice the things that they get wrong. And then when we give them feedback sessions, it's usually us correcting minor things over and over and over again to the point where we completely destroy their confidence. And
So he's talking about the feelings and vibes you give someone else, particularly from a leadership position. Are you sending out the negativity, or are you accentuating the positivity?
recommend, and by the way, we're all guilty of this. And I think it's essential for leadership teams to check each other, that when somebody goes down a path of creating a narrative that someone is an underperformer as if it's a character flaw, that we interrupt that and say, is that true? What have they gotten right? What are they good at? And if you catch people doing things right versus always catching them doing things wrong, that positive reinforcement is so much more powerful than catching them doing things wrong.
And we're not just talking about catching others and teaching them to focus on the things that they're doing right. We're also talking about doing this for yourself. So catching yourself doing, focusing on the things that you're doing wrong instead of the things that you're doing right. And that first word mantra meditation can really help you with that. So let's take a look at the third part. We talked about staying focused. Speaking of focus, as it relates to Chibario, that whatever your word, or maybe it's this word in particular, whatever your thing is, you can use it, let it act as a mental cue to stay focused on whatever you're doing as well. Like in today, man, like when you're at work, even doing this podcast, like you're continually interrupted, whether it's your phone or the internet or just thoughts or people in your periphery, whatever it is, you can use this term to stay focused on task. Sometimes my brain is very ADHD based, and I'm sort of going from one thing to the other, and I need a little exercise or a mantra or word or whatever that can help bring me back. And I use that. I use, whatever. So this is Andrew Huberman, take him or leave him, however you want. But he's going through a quick little exercise here on how to reset the brain, how to delete the cache and tell yourself you're starting something new, and to stay focused.
Our visual attention on one particular point is incredibly effective for all types of goal pursuit. So let's apply this visual tool in a very simple way to any type of goal that you want to pursue. Maybe it's a workout, maybe it's a cognitive work of some particular sort. You're going to focus your visual attention on one point, beyond your peripersonal space. So it could be on your computer, it could be on the wall, it could be a horizon, it could be at a distance, and you're going to focus your visual attention there. And with some effort, you're going to hold your visual attention for 30 to 60 seconds. You might blink, that's okay, but you're going to try and hold your visual attention there. So no moving your head around, no diverting your attention to other locations. Some people will find it very easy to do. Other people will find it quite hard. So for people who have ADHD and focus issues and attentional issues, this can be effective. For people who don't, this can also be effective. Again, it places your brain and body into a state of readiness. And then the idea is to move into the particular actions that bring you closer to your goal.
Wow. So I tried this a few times when I first came across this short here, and I couldn't do it. I was trying to just stay focused on the blue dot from the camera here, where it's red when it's off. But I found myself worrying about or thinking about like messages or things out in the internet or whatever. It can really, really help calm your mind or whatever. So you can use your Chibario mantra or whatever you're using and pair it with this, and it can help you really get zeroed in before you start some work, or if you find yourself getting off track. Okay, it's like a physical little meditation point that you can practice. So promised you 4 points. I want to talk about this last bit here, community support, how it can, the communal aspect of Chibario can work. It's often used in settings where people come together to support each other. And that sense of solidarity can be really powerful. So things like martial arts training, military, hard workouts like CrossFit style workouts and stuff like that. You see it a lot. So this community bonding through like shared struggle or suffering, I think is one of the reasons why the military uses this as strongly as they do. And I want to look at this one video here of this one gentleman talking about helping veterans and things with this.
Talk a lot about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm like one of those CrossFit guys, but for Jiu-Jitsu. And one of the reasons why I do Jiu-Jitsu is community. The Marine Corps taught me that one of the best ways to create community is through mutual suffering. And wanting to strangle each other and have a laugh about it afterwards is one of the best ways to create community. It's gotten to the point where from my academies in the past, people have helped me move, or if I'm struggling, people have been there for me because of these communities. So I highly recommend that you guys check it out.
Yeah, I've seen that myself in my own gym with my own students and such, where one is not feeling it or they're going through something and the others are actually reaching out. It's what people do, but it's what good people do. But when you're in these shared environments like a martial arts training or whatever, it comes natural for a lot of people. And so that concept of using this concept Chibario in line with where you are and the way you train yourself for being in eventual real life tough situations can all come together. So we looked at some practical usages of it and stuff like that. So let's review some of that stuff. How can you integrate Chibario into your daily life? So like personal mantra, adopt a Chibario, whether it's literally the word or another word like good or looking good, feeling good, ought to be in Hollywood, or whatever that might be. Something you can use that's personal. Repeat it during challenging times. Use it to maintain your motivation and focus. Like, for instance, if you're an athlete, use it during your training sessions. You're doing jiu-jitsu and it's suffering. You want to tap into that term. Encouragement, team encouragement. Use Chibario in these settings to build camaraderie and collective resolve as a team. Encourage each other. You can adopt it as a team phrase or whatever, especially during really tough times. Me and one of my business partners, we have developed a mutual saying whenever things start getting tough, is that we're good. This is when we're best. We say this is when we're best. When the poop is hitting the fan, we will say this is when we're at our best. This is when we're best. And it really does help us reframe emergency business situations, emergency client situations into focused output. Okay. daily challenges, right? Integrate Chibario into everyday work and challenges, such as, studying for exams, completing projects at work, other personal goals, physical, mental, whatever. Um, use that quick thing. Use it. Start using it. Start using it before you need to use it on the life or death situation. Okay, so you can adopt this. I encourage you to. I'd love to hear how it goes if you are trying some of this, or if you do some of this. Tell me how you do it. I'd love to hear some of your sayings and mantras and stuff like that. It's a great way to cultivate the resiliency that we need so much today. It's a great way to maintain higher levels of motivation. It's a great way to sponsor supportive work environments together, a team, really gel as a team. Again, the SEALs practice this all the time, and they're some of the highest performing people on the planet in terms of teams. But that's it for today. I hope you found this inspirational, helpful. Chibario. Hopefully you'll start using it or develop your own term or whatever. So again, hit me up. Let me know how it's going. Let me know if you do this. Let me know what your terms are. I'd love to hear from you. And remember, no matter how tough things get, hang in there, do your best, and get after it. Until next time, Chibario.